Good morning, students. Before going to the vacation, we have seen the structure in detail of the cell membrane, which is also known as the plasma membrane. Into today's lecture after the vacation, we are starting with the next point, that is transport across cell membrane. The most important transport systems operated at cell membrane are as given below. First one is the diffusion. Under the diffusion, we are going to see two types of diffusion. First one is passive diffusion, or it is also known as a simple diffusion, and second one is facilitated diffusion. And second one is active transport. Under the active transport, two systems are known as binding protein transport system and secondary active transport. And third we are going to see is a group translocation. So from that, today we are starting with the first one, diffusion. Under the first one is passive diffusion or the simple diffusion. First, before starting the passive diffusion or simple diffusion, we must all know what is actual diffusion. Diffusion is a type of movement of molecule when concentration gradient is established. Now what is meant by concentration gradient here? Concentration gradient is nothing but movement of molecule from one part of the cell to the another part where the molecules are unequal. Means from in one side there are number of solid concentration is high, in another side number of solid concentration or molecules are less. Then there is establishment of a concentration gradient where the specific molecules may get transferred from one solute concentration to the another solute concentration, right? That is known as a diffusion. In diffusion, flow of molecules occurs from the higher concentration to the lower concentration. In this diagram you can see diffusion means, in the simpler words, flow of molecules from the higher concentration to the lower concentration, to the region of lower concentration, right? And occurs and continues till the equilibrium is attained. डिफ्युजन कधीपर्यंत होतं? एखादं सॉलिड कॉन्सन्ट्रेशन इकडे जास्त आहे, इकडे कमी आहे, तर त्या स्पेसिफिक टाईमला काय होत असतं, इकडचे मॉलिक्युल्स ट्रान्सफर होऊन इकडे जात असतात आणि त्यालाच आपण काय म्हणतो, डिफ्युजन होत असतं. अँड इट विल कंटिन्यू अंटिल द इक्विलिब्रियम विल बी अटेंडेड. मीन्स the solid concentration into the both of the side, outer wall, inner wall, both of the side, until and unless they will get equilibrium, attains the equal concentration, till that the diffusion will get continued. Okay. Now second one, there are two types of diffusion processes that occurs across the cell membrane. Already I have told, passive diffusion, or it is also known as simple diffusion, and second one is a facilitated diffusion. Okay, today in this lecture we are going to see only one, that is passive diffusion or simple diffusion. Passive diffusion is a transport of molecule across the cell membrane along the concentration gradient and without the use of any carrier molecule. Okay, passive diffusion म्हणजे काय? It occurs along with the cell membrane. Already I have discussed the structure of cell membrane. Okay, through that cell membrane the transfer of the molecules occur and along with the concentration gradient. Already told, concentration gradient means the flow of molecules from the low solid concentration, high solid concentration to the low solid concentration is known as a whenever there is a concentration, that is one side of the cell membrane has a high solid concentration and another side has a low solid concentration, and there whatever the thing occurs, that is known as a concentration gradient. Okay, it occurs down the concentration gradient from high concentration to the low concentration region, and the rate of diffusion is directly proportional to the difference in solid concentration on the inner and outer sides of the membrane. Okay, rate of diffusion कोणावर depend आहे? It is directly dependent upon the solid concentration which is present inside the cell membrane and outside the cell membrane. Greater the solid concentration, more the diffusion rate. If the inner wall of the cell membrane has a high concentration of solute, then the greater the solid concentration, the diffusion rate will be also more. The type of diffusion takes place as a result of a random molecular movement, and so it is slow. The whatever diffusion takes place in the cell membrane, it takes place randomly. It does not take place in a parallel way or in a specific format. It takes place randomly, anyhow. Means molecules, they move anyhow, hence the movement is random and it is very slower. Diffusion through the membrane can take place through pores or channels in the membrane or by dissolving in the lipid phase. Already you know that the cell membrane is composed of phospholipid bilayer, right? Lipid membrane as the bilayer, right? Then the diffusion is directly dependent upon, or it takes place through what? Whatever the pores or the channels which are present into that specific cell membrane. Now pores or channels means what? Whatever the proteins are there, they will get removed, and from that the specific molecules will get transferred, or in other way it will get transferred by dissolving into the lipid bilayer. त्या specific phospholipid bilayer मध्ये ते specific molecule diffuse होतील आणि मग transfer होतील. Diffusion rate of the molecule also depend on the size of a molecule and it is relative solubility in lipid. Diffusion also depended upon the second part, that is a molecule size. If the higher molecule, bigger molecule is there in size, the rate of diffusion will be slower. If relatively small molecule is there, the rate of diffusion will be lesser. Okay, smaller molecules and molecules that are more soluble in lipid rapidly diffuse across a cell membrane. Okay, smaller molecules जे काय असतात ते rapidly काय होतील, लिपिड मध्ये जे डिझॉल्व्ह होणारे मॉलिक्यूल आहेत ते रॅपिडली सेल मेम्ब्रेन थ्रू क्रॉस करून जाऊ शकतात. स्मॉल नॉन पोलर मॉलिक्यूल्स सच ॲज O2, CO2 readily diffuse in cell membrane, but small uncharged polar molecules such as water or urea also diffuse across a bilayer, lipid bilayer, but much more slower than this non-polar molecules and O2 and CO2. जे काही non-polar molecules आहेत O2, CO2 सारखे ते रेडिली लगेच काय होतील, डिफ्यूज होऊन जातील. पण अनचार्ज पोलर मॉलिक्यूल्स जे काय आहेत वॉटर, युरिया सारखे, त्यांना डिफ्यूज व्हायला बायलियरमधून काय लागतं, थोडासा त्यांच्यापेक्षा जास्त वेळ लागतो. दिस वॉज ऑल अबाउट युअर passive diffusion or simple diffusion. Into the next lecture we will see the facilitated diffusion under first, that is diffusion. Into the second lecture we will start with facilitated diffusion. Thank you.